Hi, and welcome to Graha Veda. Today we are going to do a live chart reading. Somebody sent me this chart and wanted to know about their career. They had questions about their romance life and also finances, mostly around career and their love life. So this would be a good example to go over some concepts. You'll see how I study the chart. In this video, we'll look at the static promise of the chart. We'll focus on the relationship part, and then I'll make another video for the career static promises and share the questions that they have asked. And then we'll try to make one final video about timing, where we'll see what dashas are active, what transits are active, and see if we can give them some sort of a prediction. So their question related to romance or love is that they want to know, are they going to go from partner to partner, or they'll settle down also. They've had many relationships. So we'll see if the birth chart and the Navamsha chart shows that promise step by step. So here we go. The first thing that we'll do is just see the screen and the setup so you know what I'm showing you and there's no confusion. So on the screen here, the left hand side is the birth chart and the right hand side are the divisional charts. You'll see over here the D9 is selected, which is the Navamsha chart. Down below is the Shadbal score of all planets, how strong they are. Then there's a dignity table over here for planetary positions. And then stuff that I am over is basically what nakshatra each planet is. We won't go in that detail. And there's a Vimshotri Dasha chart here on the right. This serves as a good layout for me for my predictions. And if I have to go deeper, I have more pages. But for now, we'll just talk about these. All right, so the first thing that we want to do when analyzing any chart is look at the ascendant lord, get an idea of the inherent strength that the person has, both from a complete personality trait and also from their emotional level. So we'll be analyzing the first house, first lord. We'll be looking at the moon, analyzing the moon, and that would give us a basic understanding of what this person is composed of, what their emotions and nature are composed of. So let's do that. First thing, ascendant. So the ascendant is the first house. This is the house that I am marking over here with this blue diamond. Um, we'll see what planets are positioned in the ascendant, what planets are influencing the ascendant through aspect, and then we'll follow this three basic rule of prediction, which is checking the influences on the house, checking the influences on the lord of the house, and checking the influences on the fixed significator, and also maybe one of the temporary significators of the matter of life that we are analyzing here. So first, let's see who is sitting in the first house, and we see that Venus is sitting in the first house. Now, we know that Venus is a natural benefic planet. It's a good guy, or she's a good guy. Uh, and this good person influences the first house positively. So it does good for the first house. It gives beauty to the individual. It gives them a affinity towards Venusian things. Which are being feminine, maybe luxurious thing, finer things in life, design, um, aesthetics, things of that sort. What we also see is it's just not Venus sitting in the first house, it's Venus sitting in the sign of Venus because Libra is owned by Venus. So this person sitting in Libra means that the ascendant is in its own sign, which is a very strong configuration, generally favorable for everything related to the ascendant. There is an underlying source of strength. This is also a strong combination for good health because when the ascendant lord is sitting in that ascendant, and especially when that ascendant lord is a natural benefic planet, that's a very good combination. So we like to see that. Next, let's see, are there any other planets that influence by aspect the first house? So we know that we'll start off with the sun. The sun does not influence the first house because sun only aspects seven places from itself. So sun's aspect would fall in this house, and that's not the first house. So we skip sun. Similarly, Mercury also aspects seven places, does not aspect. Ketu aspects the seven, five, and nine places, just like Jupiter does. so it does not aspect the first house. Saturn aspects the third, seventh, and 10th places from itself. So this is the third. It doesn't aspect this. Seven, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh doesn't. This is not the first house. Eighth, ninth, tenth. This is not the first house. So Saturn's aspect also does not reach the first house, right? Mars has an aspect of 4, 7, and 8. So Mars' fourth aspect would be 1, 2, 3, 4. We always count inclusive to where the planet is sitting. This is the fourth aspect. That's not our target. 5, 6, 7. That's also not our target. And 8. That's also not our target. So Mars's aspect does not reach it as well. What about Jupiter? Jupiter aspects the fifth place from itself, the ninth place from itself, and the seventh place from itself. So the fifth place from Jupiter would be the ninth house. This is not our target. It's the seventh house. This is not our target. And the ninth house, which is here, that is our target. So we see that Jupiter aspects the first house. Now, let me talk about that a little bit because it's a mixed picture. Why is it a mixed picture? Is because Jupiter is a natural benefic planet. Means just like Venus, it's the most benefic planet and it can offer blessing. So over here, the birth chart, their ascendant is blessed with two natural benefics, a great combination. Jupiter also protects the health. It gives beauty. It gives sattvikta or purity to the native. Venus also does that. So this is a good combination from a natural benefic standpoint. Where it starts becoming a little bit confusing is that for the Libra ascendant native, Jupiter rules two not so great houses because it rules the third house, which is considered to be a mild malefic house, and it also rules the sixth house, which is considered to be a Dushtana house. Um, I've circled the number 12 when I'm saying sixth. That's because the number 12 denotes the Rashis, not the houses. The sixth house is where the Rashi 12, which is Pisces, falls, which is this house, right? And this is not a good house. So Jupiter, when it aspects through its ninth aspect, like this, it aspects this house through its ninth aspect. It brings the energies of the sixth house and it brings the energy of the third house to the ascendant. And it also brings the energy of what Jupiter is, which is a natural benefic. All those energies come in, right? So when these energies come into the first house, Jupiter's energy as a pure natural benefic is positive, but the energies of the sixth house is not positive, and the energy of third house is also not very great, right? Moreover, Jupiter is not a friend of Venus. So Jupiter is actually aspecting an enemy sign that is also not very good. So here we've seen that it's a mixed picture because some of its aspect seems like it's a good thing, but the other parts are not so great. Let's look at the other aspects here now. Rahu aspects 5 and 9 places for itself, so it will not aspect this. Moon aspects the seventh place from itself, so it doesn't aspect it as well. So we have the influence through aspect of only one planet, which is Jupiter, and the other influence is by position because Venus is positioned in the house itself. Okay. Um, Now, Jupiter's aspect is on the house and it's also on the lord of the house, which is Venus, right? So Jupiter's aspect is going to influence doubly because when we analyze any chart, a house of any chart, we analyze three primary things: the house, its lord, and its significator, like I said. So when the house lord is sitting in the house, then any influence that does influences the house will also influence the lord. That's why Jupiter's influence here, whether positive or not so positive, is going to influence the house and it also influences the house lord. So if you break this down into 33.33% each, which is just for the sake of understanding, that the house carries 33.3% weight, the Lord carries 33.3% weight, and the significator also carries 33.3% weight. Now you see that Jupiter influencing the house and the house Lord basically influences 66% of this particular house's composition, right? So that's why it's significant. All right. So we've seen that the ascendant and the ascendant lord has all of these things. It looks like a not so bad picture. It actually looks like a good picture. more on the favorable side. But now there is one problem here, which turns this whole picture around. I'll give you 1 minute to see if you can spot it. Okay, I'll reveal it now. The first house is actually hemmed between malefics. If you got that, great. I'm glad you can recognize that. If you didn't get it, I'm going to explain what that means. So you see that on the first house, and also because the Lord is in the first house, for both of these aspects, um, there is a natural malefic Saturn on one side, and there is another natural malefic Ketu on the other side, and a mild malefic Sun on the other side. And Mercury here also becomes a malefic. The reason being that Mercury by default is neutral, but when it's with conjunct natural malefics, it becomes a natural malefic. So the first house is actually hemmed between malefic planets, and that's not good for the first house. That's not good for health. The good thing here is that Venus is supporting it and Jupiter is supporting it, so it has a source of strength. One other thing that becomes important to see is the position of the Lagna Lord, which is the state situation of the Lagna Lord, or the strength of the Lagna Lord in the Navamsha chart, which is the D9 chart. So we'll go ahead and look at that. Now, in the D9 chart, we see that Venus, which is the Lord of the Lagna Lord over here, that's what we are evaluating. Venus goes and sits in the fifth house of the Navamsha chart, which is a good position because it's a trinal position. It's a trine house, a beneficial house. And it is also sitting in the sign of Pisces. That is the exaltation sign of Venus. So Venus actually improves when it goes into Venus's dignity improves when it goes into the Navamsha because now it's in the sign of Pisces, its exaltation sign. Here it was in its own sign, or more specifically in its Mula Trikona sign, which was a great dignity already, but now it improves. So that's a good thing too. The problem here again is that it is with Sun and Rahu. Both of those are going to afflict it, although Rahu is considered to be a friend of Venus. So Rahu's affliction may not be that much, but Sun will want to create challenges for Venus. Now, this Venus is not combust by Sun because Sun is 3 degrees and Venus is 21 degrees, but still, it's not a very good position to be with Sun. So just keep that in mind. The other thing from an ascendant point of view is that even the ascendant of the Navamsha is hemmed by malefics. Mars is on one side and Saturn is on the other side. This can also give us a clue into the challenges that this person faces in their life. All right. Okay, let's shift our focus now to the emotional understanding, and that would come through Moon, right? So in this chart, we see that Moon goes in the eighth house. Now, the eighth house is considered to be the most challenging house, so that's not a good position for the Moon to be in. Let's see if the moon gets influenced by any other planet by aspect or conjunction. There is no planet with moon, so there is no question about conjunction, but the moon does get an aspect of Saturn. Now, Saturn's aspect on the moon is considered to be not a easy aspect because Saturn is restriction, constraint, disappointment, um, sadness, heaviness. And when it comes in contact with a soft planet like emotions, moon, which signifies emotions or softer things, it afflicts it. Also, you'll see that this aspect is very close within 3 degrees because Saturn is at 11 and moon is at 14 degrees. So this is a challenging position for the moon. Saturn is definitely going to disrupt this person's emotions because of that. The other thing that influences the moon is Ketu from the 12th house through its ninth aspect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now we see that both Saturn and Ketu are influencing the moon in the eighth house. So here are three negative things. One is the eighth house, which is not good. Somebody who's down and out, whose emotions are already in a bad place or a position. On top of that, you bring another planet that is disappointing and sadness and slowness and restraint. And then you get a planet Ketu, which acts like Mars to speed up the emotions. This is going to be a very difficult thing to control because sometimes Ketu is going to make this person very, very sharp, very, very irritable. And the other time, Saturn is going to make them very depressive. So, not an easy combination to deal with. The positive side here is because of the influence of Ketu and because this is in the eighth house, Ketu also influences from the 12th house. This person might benefit if they do meditation or they kind of uh, think about spiritual awakening or spirituality, right? That would be helpful to them. Um, the positive side of this whole thing is that moon is actually in its sign of exaltation. So moon has a source of strength. It's got resilience in it because it is sitting in Taurus, which is its sign of exaltation. Not only that, in Navamsha, it is also sitting in the sign of Taurus, and that gives it. And then other thing is it is also sitting in its own nakshatra. All of those combinations make it a one to make it a positive moon. Plus also moon is actually quite far away from the sun. So I would not say that this is a fully malefic moon. In fact, it is moving towards the sun, so it is a waning moon. But from those two aspects of it being Vargottama, it being exalted Vargottama, and it also being not eclipsed, I would say that this person has the emotional capability to fight and overcome their challenges. We also saw that with their ascendant Venus, because Venus is also very strong being in its Mool Trikona sign in the birth chart and also in exaltation sign in the Navamsha chart, right? So that tells us that this person has an inherent strength. One other thing that I'm going to point out at this stage, because it's relevant, is that the other planet that gives us strength or force or effort is Mars. And Mars here sits unafflicted in a benefic sign, in a great dignity of a great friend, in the third house of efforts. And when Mars sits over here in the third house, they say that malefics in the 3, 6, 10, and 11, or it's 3, 6, 11, do very well. 3, 6, 11, the three Shaddais. They do really well. So Mars over here gives the person courage, and it gives them the strength and resilience to carry on. So overall, what we've discussed is the person has an underlying strength. They can overcome their challenges. We saw there are some challenges related to the ascendant because of the malefic hemming. And we clearly see there are some emotional challenges because of the Saturn and Ketu's influence on the moon, which is sitting in the eighth house. Um, the one other thing that I want to mention over here, and I think what I'll do is I'll make another video where we dive into this person's relationships because this one was more of a static analysis. It would be nice if we break that up. So I know I said that we'll do it in this video, but I think it's long. So perhaps in the next video, which I'll also put very soon, we'll go into the relationship aspect. What I wanted to talk about the moon was some people would see moon sitting alone in the eighth house and they'd say that this is a configuration for something known as the Kema Druma Dosh. But what I have learned is that the Kema Druma Dosh has a lot of cancellations. Kema Druma Dosh is basically a configuration which is supposed to be very, very difficult emotionally. Uh, it's usually when the moon is separate and not in association with anything. Over here, the moon is in a very difficult place. It's not in association with another planet through conjunction, but because Saturn is looking at it from an angular position to moon, I would say that this dosha is not in effect. Also, moon has a very strong dignity and it has a source of strength being Vargotama. So again, the Kemadruma I don't think applies in this case. All right. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video where we'll go specifically over the relationship aspect of it.